is up, members of D12? I am back at it again. It's it's 10 after 12 on Labor Day. Happy holidays to everyone. And I'm back at it with some more power rankings. I almost forgot to mention that. It is team number 5. It's one of the two rooks. It's the second of the two rookies, and that is the Carolina Aviators. Um, if you didn't recognize that song, uh, the name of the song is "The Boys Are Back in Town." And no, this isn't a mockery of how young Jordan is compared to everyone else in the league, that he's just a little boy. But rather, it's because of the name of the artist of that song. I know that it was redone. I don't know who it was redone by. All of a sudden, maybe this is the redo. But the name of this artist is Thin Lizzy. Because while this is a really, really good starting lineup, I mean, you look up and down this roster, very, very solid. It is super, super thin. We have a huge gap here between team number 6, the Oakland Chaos, and what we have here in the top 5. In fact, 5 and 4 are super, super close to each other on all of their percentages, and they share a division. But I'll get to him later. So let's jump into the roster. Quarterback Andrew Luck, great talent. Injured last year, but if he plays, should be good for a top 5 quarterback season. And then behind him, Phillip Rivers, good solid play. San Diego will probably throw the ball a lot. And Rivers isn't quite the quarterback that Luck is, but Rivers has put up some solid seasons recently. And then Carson Wentz, but that's more of a long-term play. We jump down to the wide receivers. These are 3 very, very good wide receivers. Brandon Marshall got his quarterback back in Ryan Fitzpatrick, looking for another fantastic season. Basically, in the Jets passing game, it is Marshall and it is Decker. Their wide receiver 3 is... No, it's not Devin Smith because he's injured. I don't even know who their wide receiver 3 is. Jay Samaro just signed with the Titans, so I don't know who their tight end is. So even if Fitzpatrick only throws for, well, he did almost throw for 4,000 yards last year. Even if he only throws for like 3,200 yards, Marshall and Decker are still going to get the bulk of those receptions. Marshall, very solid play. A couple years ago, well, at the beginning of his current contract, Reitzman signed him to a 3-year contract, and I thought that was kind of a mistake, but Marshall has been worth every penny. Well, at least he was last year, and he looks to be this year as well. I personally would actually flip Cobb and Hilton. I think that Hilton's going to have a better year than Cobb. Cobb does have Jordy back, so that he's not the go-to wide receiver. We saw it happen with Cobb last year when Jordy was out. But Carolina is rolling out the Luck to Hilton combination. I think that's going to be a very, very good play for him this year. Hilton is a very, very solid wide receiver 2. Cobb is a very, very solid wide receiver 3. If we look down at his flexes, though, no wide receivers in his flex. That's because there's a huge drop-off after Hilton and Cobb. His next best wide receiver, maybe Philip Dorsett, another Colt. Maybe too many Colts on this team. He's got Ted Ginn Jr., who had a good year last year. Kelvin Benjamin is back. Devin Funchess. He's got Devin Funchess too. So he's got 2 Carolina wide receivers as well. Kamar Aiken. I guess someone's got to catch it in Baltimore. It's going to be Aiken and Steve Smith probably out there. I mean, he's on a really good contract, I guess. $4 for 4 years. Cruz coming off an injury. And Kenny Britt, whatever. So, not a whole lot of guns in the chamber behind these three. If one of these three go down, again, Thin Lizzy, his team is awfully thin. Um, it could spell doom for him, or especially once we get to bye weeks, he's going to have to throw in a Dorset or a Funchess. Um, yeah, yeah, I just don't like it. I like his top three. I don't like it after that, especially because we're getting to the cream of the crop. We're getting to the five contending teams here. If we jump down to running backs, David Johnson, I've seen him go number one in PPR formats. He was a stud second half of the year last year. Um, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'm not a huge believer, but I know that I'm in the minority, and David Johnson, arguably the best contract in the league, and is a stud. Le'Veon is RB2. Suspension reduced from 4 games down to 3. Um, when healthy, he's the best running back in the league, former Michigan State Spartan. And yeah, he just hasn't been healthy. He hasn't been able to stay on the field the past couple years. I think the past 2 years. So if once he comes back, that's the best 1-2 combination in the league, in my opinion, between David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell. If you just go by the numbers anyway. The problem with Le'Veon missing the first 3 weeks is he has to play both San Antonio and Rio during that time. He's going to be without Le'Veon. So that would move Thomas Rawls into his RB2 slot for those first 2 weeks. And then he's got to put in a Philip Dorsett or a Devin Funchess. Or if we go on down the line in his running backs, his 4th best running back is Shane Vereen, who I don't even know if he's going to get third down work with the Giants now that they have Paul Perkins, although Paul hasn't been fantastic. Again, these 3 look really good. Maybe when all healthy, when all playing, this might be the best 3-headed running back combination in the league. But after that, huge drop-off. So he's got Shane Vereen, Alfred Morris, James Starks. If Lacey goes down, Starks is a nice fill-in. As long as Lacey's there, though, Starks, you can't start with confidence. And then he did take a little bit of a hit with Keith Marshall, who I did only sign to 3 years. Hit the IR. Marshall could have been in line for the first man up behind Matt Jones, who's already injured, but he got a little boo-boo. He wasn't really doing that good in preseason or in the offseason, so they put him on IR. They didn't want to rush him back. So, again, just like with the wide receiving core, pretty thin in the running back core right after that. If we jump down to tight ends, again, he's got an awesome starting tight end. The best tight end in the league in Rob Gronkowski. And Gronk probably doesn't even carry that injury tag anymore. It's been a good few years since he's missed some time. Kobe Fleener as his tight end 2, currently in the flex. He's been struggling, to say the least. He's got potential. New Orleans, their wide receivers, their tight ends always do really, really well. Jimmy Graham was a top 2 tight end for many, many years. Goes to Seattle, hasn't done anything. Is it Jimmy? Is it the system? Might be the system. Ben Watson last year was like tight end number 5 or 6 or something like that. Ben Watson sucks. He's not a good player. He's never done that before. Fleener gets to come into the system, and he could thrive. He's got to get on the same page with Breeze. To this point, he's been unable. So now, I've talked up Le'Veon. I've talked up Fleener. Maybe it wasn't the worst trade in D12 history, the one that he made with Mike. I still wouldn't have done it. But because, again, he's super thin, and that got rid of a lot of his depth. Then behind Gronk and Fleener, he's got Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph is the same as Jordan Cameron. Supposed to be awesome, never is. So our wins futures. This is a huge tick up from what we saw with number 6 Oakland. His peak is really close to 8. Playoffs minus 170. This is the highest that we've seen. But then you look at his division odds. Even though he's a top 5 team, he's the 3rd best team in his own division. So he got lucky with the coin flip because he's not stuck with the team that Brian left behind. But he's unlucky as far as his division is concerned. So he should make the playoffs. Probably isn't going to get very far once he gets there. Yeah. Plus 125 to make money. Probably not finishing last, but could make some noise. This is the first actual contender. I see his lack of depth coming back to bite him in the behind as we get further on into the season, especially if any of these guys goes down for an injury, unless Aiken or Funchess or Dorsett can step up, unless Vereen wins the 3rd down running back position in New York. I don't see him winning the championship this year. So he is a contender just based off what the numbers tell us, but I don't think that he's going to be there when it's all said and done. So, it's 23 after. This one was probably 12 minutes long again. I'm probably going to do one more yet tonight, though. So I'll be back very soon. In fact, I'll be back before any of you probably see this.